introduce our speaker for this evening. We got a little short video that he brought for us to watch that it's going to get your attention. Putting it mildly, it's going to get your attention. Brother Alan Morris manages an Apple store in Piggott, and they live in Piggott. Him and his wife Sam is with us here this evening. Our members of Shady Grove Church, where he serves as a deacon. They're both Sunday school teachers. Alan and Pam are very active in the Christian Motorcyclists Association because they're Northeast Arkansas area representatives and they're our state Run for the Sun team leads. Now let me tell y'all a little bit something about Run for the Sun, just real quick. I'm sure Alan probably got some of this in his sermon, but that's okay. Run for the Sun is the annual fundraiser that the Christian Motorcyclists Association does. We've got 3 ministries that each get 20% of what we bring in. There's Missionary Ventures, the Jesus Film Project, and help me out. Open Doors. The other 40% stays in the United States to work the ministry of CMA. CMA is in over almost all of the countries in the world.
All but 4.
All but 4, okay? So we're in all but 4 countries of the world. Isn't that amazing? And let me tell you something. That is all the work of God. Amen. The motto for CMA is changing the world one heart at a time. And Alan and Pam are very instrumental in Arkansas part of Run for the Sun. Very enthusiastic about what they do. Alan has been on 2 mission trips that has sparked a passion in him for reaching the world with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Their goal as a couple is to share Jesus and change the world one heart at a time. I like how Alan wrote this because, and y'all see how this works a lot with Cindy and I. When you get into ministry, it doesn't matter what kind of ministry you're in, whether you get into professional ministry of pastoring and ministering in a church, or whether you get involved in CMA, it's a couples thing. It's a husband and a wife thing. It's a team thing. When you work together as a team, there's so much more that we can accomplish. So it's good to have Brother Alan with us this evening and Pam. We also have some other members of CMA that have come to hear Alan speak this evening. I don't know them. I know Scooter Dan. Y'all know Scooter Dan. And those of you that are part of our church. Y'all saw him quite often last year when Steve was pregnant with Ray. So it's good to have all y'all with us this evening. And the rest of our visitors as well. Don't want to leave y'all out. It's good to have visitors with us this evening. So without any further ado, I'd like to let Brother Alan come up. And I'll get your video started real quick.
Can you hear me? Yeah. If I get too loud, holler at me, I'll turn this thing off. That's right, we do have a passion for changing the world. We have a passion for missions, even here at home. I think there's mission opportunities in Beebe, Arkansas. I wasn't always that way, but I had a change of heart. God changed my heart. And that's a sermon that when I get through with, you won't be here because it's a long one. So sometime when you want to hear the rest of the story, I'll share it with you. But Beebe, Arkansas, man, brings back some memories for me. I used to, when I was young, and in my 20s, early 20s, my family had a grain elevator operation, and I drove one of their trucks. And somewhere down here by the interstate now, by the interstate then, there's an Adams truck stop. Anybody here remember that Adams truck stop? That was one of my favorite stops. Well, I'd come from Piggott and I was headed to Hope, Arkansas. And there were several of those trucks hauled back down through there then. And Adam's truck stop was the place. That's where we stopped for breakfast, lunch, and supper. And sometime all in between. But that was one of them. When we headed down this way, that's where we met. We were going to stop at Adam's truck stop. And there was another stop on the way. I stopped in Arkadelphia. My girlfriend then went to school in Arkadelphia. So I'd stop at Adam's truck stop, and the next stop would be Arkadelphia to see my girlfriend. She soon became a fiance, and now we've been married for 37 years. So Beebe's kind of home. I have a lot of stories out of that Adam's truck stop. So it's good to be here. In that day, I didn't live a very good life. I was bitter. I was mad at God. I had lost my mother at the age of 18, and I wasn't happy. Didn't care. Didn't like it. Don't give me church. Not interested. So, and I was used to church. My grandfather was a preacher. His 3 brothers were preachers. His son was a preacher. And his other 2 sons, which one of them was my dad, were either singers or song leaders. So it wasn't a question when we got up on Sunday morning, like some kids do now, and say, are we going to church? That was not a question in my house. The only question we had in my house was if we weren't going. It was, why aren't we going to church? What's happening? So I didn't live a very good life then, and God left me this super pretty, exciting young lady, and whom I still love very much. And she was a church goer. And, reluctantly, if I wanted to see my girlfriend, I went to church. And Christ and the Spirit knocked on my heart once again and changed my life. And I've been serving Him ever since. And so, change. We talked about it last night. The speaker talked about change. And the question I've got is, do churches change? Do we see change in our society today? And I've got a video I want you to watch. Pay close attention, because years ago this would be a different story, and you'll see it. Go ahead, Philip.
People's lives are being transformed by God's love. Your homework this week is to find at least one person who could use a little more of that love and invite them to come with you next week. Trust me, it's worth the extra effort.
Mrs. Edwards, you want to listen to some music on the way? Go ahead, your choice. Okay, here we are.
Change. Miss Molly. I told her when I saw this, I just thought of her. Change. It happens, and that's a big change. And it happens to us every day. And sometimes, if you noticed that the commentator said that 80% of the first-time visitors that come through that door come because they've been invited. Somebody personally invited them. And that's a big deal. If I ask you, when's the last time you invited somebody, or have you invited somebody to church this week, how many would raise their hand? Good. 80% of the people come for the first time because you've asked them. So keep asking. Just because they don't come this time, don't mean they will come the next time. So ask people. 85% of the American Protestant churches are either stagnating or dying. Now that's a tough statistics in today's world. We have sincere Christian people sitting in our pews today in many churches hoping for tomorrow to be yesterday. We have a lot of churches, on the other hand, good Christian people sitting in the pew wanting to catch up, to desperately change to meet the needs of society. But we don't know how. And then we've got others, and Brother Bill related to this last night, we've got others that struggle with change for the sake of tradition. And that's a pretty hefty deal in a lot of churches. We struggle with the change of tradition. Oh man, I've put them church bulletins on this desk for 20 years. I don't want to move them to the other side. And we have a lot of that. We've sung out of this book for 50 years. Why do we want to change to praise and worship or some other kind of music? Our church sings out of that Heavenly Highway hymn often. And as I'll share this with you because it was pretty eye-opening for me. Last Sunday we sang, we have a diversity. We have a lot of young adults that are coming now. We used to not have. When I teach a Sunday school, as Philip said, and when I started teaching this class, there were six adults, 3 couples. And they were somewhere in the age of 25, turn that down real quick, 25 to 35. There's 6 of them. There's 36 now. It's been 2 years. You know why they come? Those 6 decided they didn't like it by themselves. So they started asking their friends. That's how they came. I didn't ask them. Bad on me. They did. They went out and said, hey, man, we got a good Sunday school class. Why don't y'all check it out? They asked them to come. But that's what happens. And what I started to say is, we have a diversity. So at our church, we sing a couple of songs out of the Highway Heavenly Hymnal. That gets the elderly people. tickled because that's what they're used to. And that's okay, I'm kind of there myself. And I just turned 61. I don't know how old I am. Just because my hair's gray, you know. But we sang a couple of Heavenly Highway hymn songs, and that was good. And then we started praise and worship. And some churches have a band. I don't have a problem with that. That's whatever the church needs. Our church doesn't have a band, so we play the tape, praise and worship, and we put that in. And it started at our CMA rallies. We do a lot of praise and worship. Praise and worship. It's really spiritual. But at our church, we sang a couple of praise and worship songs. We have a praise team made up of 4 or 5 ladies. And they started. And before that song was over, 20 or so, I didn't count, but our altar was full of adult people with kids, Cameron's age and Ray's age. But my point was, look at the difference. I mean, it wasn't what I was used to, or some of y'all might be used to in the Heavenly Highway hymn, but these young adults like it, and it touches their heart, and it touched their heart. So if we get so set on tradition, we fail to share Jesus with others. So don't be afraid of change. That video was change.
Oh, yeah.
That's change. Can you imagine the 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, maybe last year, of an African American pulling up to a white lady's house?
That's right.
And saying, hey, yo, Molly, come to church with me. Wouldn't happen. Just wouldn't. It's change. And she went with him. She went with him. Turned that rock and roll music off. How many of you were born before 1945? Make some hands go up. Scooter? Oh. So I'll throw that in there.
You say 1945?
1945. 1945. You people are survivors. You are survivors. You were here before TV. Listen to this. You were here before TV, penicillin, frozen food, plastic, the pill. You were here before the dishwasher, air conditioning, or before anyone ever walked on the moon. In your time, closets were hanging clothes in, not for coming out of it. Bunnies, they were rabbits. And rabbits weren't Volkswagens. You never heard of tape decks, artificial hearts, or even guys wearing earrings. Didn't hear that in your day. Time sharing meant togetherness. Chips was a piece of wood. Hardware was hardware, and software had never even been, that wasn't even a word in your day. Grass, it was to be mowed. Coke, that was a drink in your day. Well, somebody said, hey, let's go snort some Coke. He said, snort it? Soda? Are you kidding me? That burns your nose. Pot was something you cooked in. You know? And lastly, you were the only generation that was silly enough to believe you had to have a husband to have a baby. How quaint is that? But you survived. You made do with what you had. You not only survived, you succeeded. You succeeded. Kudos to you. The cultural and the economical And the society change that has taken place since then between those two generations is astronomical. It's unbelievable. And you know, I should have said this when I started, and I'm going to say it now. There's two things that will not change, or will never change. That's God and His Word.
Amen.
They will never change. I don't care. We can sit up here and talk on, and I know we want to. I don't have scripture for that. And Luke 21:33, it may not be on there, but it says, heaven and earth shall pass away, but not my word. It'll be there forever. Those things will not change. But Christ is the master change maker. You say, oh, I've changed. I sit back there in that pew. I'm 61 years old. I'm an old man now. And I remember, and I still do it. Oh, I don't want to do that, preacher. I'm old. I've done this before. I'm tired. Let the young people do it. Where's your young people, by the way? Jerry? Philip? Yeah. That happens to the pastor sometimes. Jesus is the master change maker. He changed names. He changed Simon to Peter, Saul to Paul. He changed lives. He healed the blind. He healed the leper spots. He made people walk. You think He changed their lives? Yeah. He did. He changed hearts. He changed that water. He didn't change that water, but He changed it. You leave it there long enough, He'll change it. But you know, change is not a choice. It's not a choice. It's going to change. But how we handle that change is. It's how we handle that change. And why should I change? You know, like I said, I don't know. If I was sitting back there in that seat and I was listening to me talk, I'd look up there and I'd say, dude, why do I need to change? I'm an old man. I've done this. I'm tired. Well, let me tell you something. I told my father-in-law this, and he's an old man. We're put here for a reason. We were empowered to tell someone about Jesus. That's why you're breathing. I don't care how old we get. Our job's not done till that man says we're through. So no matter how old we get, how tired we are, our job is to make known who God is and tell the world about the gospel of Jesus Christ. That's why we're here. That's why we change. That's why we should change. Okay. So I'm sitting there thinking, okay, you little gray-headed man, how do I do that? How do I change? How do you get young people in this church? Well, I'll share this with you. I wasn't going to, but I'm going to. I stopped down here to the Valero gas station. Y'all know where that's at?
Yeah.
Pretty well everyone in here can tell me where that's at, I assume. Well, it's just 2 blocks over. And I asked the girl in there, I said, hey, now you remember I was here last night, so I know where this church is. But I said, can you tell me how to get to the First Christian Church? She She looked at me and said, never heard of it. 2 blocks. That probably happened in Beebe. But my point is, we don't have to be too tired to go in there and say, hey, First Christian Church is right down here behind the store. Come down and visit us sometime. 80% of the people that come through that door, the new visitors, come because they're asked. We have to do it. How do we handle that change? Well, John chapter 14 and 6 said, I'm the way. I'm the way. He also said in John, I'm the light. I'm the light. When you go in your house tonight and it's completely dark, what's the first thing you're going to do? Flip on the light. Who's the light? Jesus Christ. So if you're in the dark and you want to find your way, what do? Flip on the light. So spiritually, Jesus said, I'm the way. How do I handle change? I'm the way. So how do I find my way? I'm the light. That's me. It's Jesus Christ, he said. Me. But sometimes we're like that water. What's it doing? It's been there ever since I got here. Hadn't moved yet. Hadn't spilled. Hadn't rippled. Nothing. If you leave it sitting there long enough, it'll get stagnant. And if you leave it sitting there even longer, it'll start evaporating. And is that your church? Is that your life? Change. That's boring, sitting there, just looking at it. But you know what? Water is not always boring. We swim in it, I think. We swim in it. We swim in it. We do. And what? Oh, okay. I got my wife, she's up here giving me directions.
There you go.
There was a couple that was missing on the instructions.
Oh, I got you. We swim in it. We fish in it. That kind of looks like Philip, don't it? We cook in it. We take baths in it. I think that water might have been cold. But we enjoy sunsets over the water. It's not always boring. We don't have to be boring. Know that way. So, how do we change? I say to you, we live life at the boiling point. Because water changes when it boils, does it not? It starts to simmer. And if you watch it, it starts to move. Things start happening. And if you listen to it closely, it'll start crackling. And then when you look in the pot, you see the little bubbles start to bubble. And what's happening? It's heating up. It's getting heated. It's beginning to change. Spiritually, Jesus is our heat. He's our light. Who wants to reach up there and grab a hold of that light bulb and tell me how hot it is? What's going to happen when the sun gets up in the morning? It's going to start warming things up. If we went out here and lit us a torch so we could find our way, who wants to run their hand over the top of it and tell me how hot it's going to get? So if we live our life at the boiling point, which is what? science.
Huh?
212.
100 Celsius.
212 degrees. I got you. Got one of the science majors in here. 212 degrees, boiling point. Water changes. You leave it there long enough, it starts to steam. Did you know our nation ran on steam? We had steamships that ran on steam, carried freight up and down the rivers, across the seas. We had machinery. Some of you guys may remember it. I don't mean that you're old, I'm just saying. Some of you guys may remember it. It gets powerful when it gets heated up. If we stay on the burner, if we stay by the heat, our heat is Jesus Christ. If we stay by the heat, we can live our life at the boiling point. And guess what will happen? Things will change. Things will change. If we live our life with Christ, and at the boiling point, you'll see this church change. As a church, it changes. Your life will change. But here's what happens as Christians. We live our life at 150, 180 degrees. That's about where we live. We'll do our daily life. We'll come to church on Sunday. Cindy will sing a good song, or someone else, or man, what a piano player you people have. Do you understand how blessed you are? That heated me up. But what happens is, I go from 150 to 180. If she keeps playing that piano long enough, I'm going to get to 200. But then when I walk out that door, I'm back down to 150. And we live our life that way. How can God use us unless we're boiling? Unless we're willing to say, here I am. Use me. I'm going to get on the burner. I'm going to get hot. And you know what? It's about as good as it gets. If all you do is you come in here on Sunday, and I don't know if y'all have church on Sunday nights, maybe even Wednesday night. If that's all you do, and 180 is all you get, God's going to have a hard time using you because you like it where it's at. And we choose to stay in that range spiritually. We never hit that boiling point. The whole concept of Christianity is to live life at the boiling point. We're to care about others. We're to love others. We're to help others. We're to get heated up. Because when we do, it compels us to go. Just like that steamship, just like that tractor, just like that train engine that used to run on steam, it would go. When we get heated up enough, we start steaming. You get that heat from Jesus Christ. Where's Cameron at?
I think he's in the nursery.
Okay. Y'all ever heard of a guy named Michael Jordan?
Oh, yeah,
Probably, arguably, best basketball player that ever lived. He was good. One of the reasons he was good is he liked to win. He wanted to win. He was a winner. And when that game got closer to the end and the score was tied, and it was a big game, maybe the national championship, and the game was tied up, you know who the Chicago Bulls wanted to have the ball? Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wanted the ball. He wanted it. Can you imagine? What are you now in high school when it's, You're 1 point behind and you got 2 shots at the free throw line and you miss them both. What are you? What's your school going to call you? Oh, you loser. You missed them. But let me tell you why Michael Jordan was so good. He wanted the ball. He was willing to take that shot. He was willing to risk being called a loser for the sake of winning. He wanted the ball. Did you know that at least 23 times in his career he missed that last shot and he lost that ball game? How many of you remember that? Not me. I read it. But what I'm saying is, he took the risk. And so many times our churches say, oh, I don't want to do that. That didn't work. That's not going to do it. We haven't ever done it like that. Shoot far, that's ridiculous. So we do nothing. And guess what we get? Nothing. The same old thing. When Jesus came into this world, think about this. That dude was 212 degrees hot. Just like that. I mean, he was boiling. It wasn't long after he burned, the stars started moving. The angels sang. Supernatural things started. At his baptism, the heavens opened up and God said, this is my son in whom I'm well pleased. You ever heard that? Not me. I haven't heard it here. But things happened during his life. He was hot. When he died, the earth darkened. The stone was rolled away. And he arose. He was hot. His disciples were with him. They were hot. And I ask you, how can this church change anything if you stay at 150 to 180 degrees? How can any church change? How can you get anyone in here without asking, without them knowing 2 blocks away where you're at? That's tough. It's a tough decision. And you know, you have to get heated up. You have to stay on the burner with Jesus Christ. In Revelations 3 and 15, read it. I know thy works, thou art neither cold nor hot. I would that you were cold or hot. So then because thou art lukewarm, and you're neither hot and you're neither cold, I don't like that lukewarm stuff, so I'm going to spit you out of my mouth. Christ told John to tell the churches that. So, get heated up. Get on the burner. Okay, that's easy. That's all. What have you learned? Well, let me tell you something. This is how you do it. This is how you do it. 3 ways to get heated up. 1, you go to church. You go to church. You want to get heated up? Go to church. Well, what do I need to go to church for? I've heard people say, I don't need to go to church. I can watch it on TV. I can hear it on the radio. I don't need church. Well, let me share this with you. I want to give you some reasons to go to church. 1, because Jesus did. And in Luke 4 and 16 it says, and he came to Nazareth when he was brought up. And as his custom was, he went to the synagogue on his Sabbath day. As his custom was, he went to church. Good reason to go to church, because Jesus did. Second reason to go to church, because other writers in the Bible and the Bible itself tells us to go to church. Exodus 20 and 8 says, remember the Sabbath to keep it holy. That's a commandment. That's not a suggestion. Go to church. Hebrews 10, 23 to 25. Let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering. And let not us consider one another to provoke unto love to good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves. go to church. Another reason to go to church, because God so often uses church to speak to us. He does. So many times we come to church and we get relaxed and we're glad to be here and we're joining and we're free of the stress in the outside world. And God takes that opportunity to talk to us. Because when we step out them doors, sometimes we get so involved in our life that we can't hear Him. Good reason to go to church. We inspire those around us. It's a good reason to go to church. We see people come in and out, day after day, and week after week, and month after month. I'm so thankful I have people in my life that have done that and inspired me. Go to church. The last reason to go to church, or another one, it's the last one I have, we leave a legacy for our children. Just like I told you, I didn't have to ask whether I was going to church or not. I knew whether I was going. Kids listen to their parents. They pay attention. You teach them. Proverbs 22 says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he won't depart from it. Leave a legacy. I want to share some more statistics to you. Did you know that moms, grandmas, mothers, when you go to church by yourself and take your kids, 60% of the kids will go 60% of the time. Dads, when they take their kids, they're involved, 98% of the kids will go. 98% of the time. That's a big difference. Dads, take your children to church. Grandma and Grandpa, if your kids don't go to church and you live near them, take them to church. Take them to church. Yeah. I wish I was close enough to my grandkids I could take them to church. Take them to church, they'll learn. Leave a legacy. Okay, the second way to get heated up. The first way was go to church. The second way, live a daily walk with God. You'll get heated up. Read your Bible. Stay focused. Get on that burner. The disciples walked with Christ. They sat with Christ. In John 15, we find Jesus went to the mountain and sat with his disciples. They were at the heat. They were near the heat. They were by the heat and on the burner. They were hot. John chapter 6 tells us when they fed the 5,000, they participated in the heat. Christ passed out the food to his disciples and they passed it out to everybody else. They were hot. They participated. After that, they went to the sea. Jesus went to the mountain. Oh my. They left the heat. They got on the boat and they headed to Capernaum. What happened? Storms came up. Storms arose. They got away from the heat. That's what happened. When Jesus came near, he calmed the seas. Back to the heat. Back to the way, back to the life. Live a daily life. Read your Bible. Stay focused. Share Jesus. The last way to live life at the boiling point is to pray. Pray. I hope you prayed for me. I hope you did. Pray. Jesus went to the mountains and prayed. He went into the Garden of Gethsemane and prayed. On the cross, we find that he had a conversation with God while he was crucified. We have a hard time praying and thanking the Lord that got up this morning. In Luke 23, Jesus said, Father, forgive them. He was thinking of us in all his pain and agony. Carry a conversation to God. Pray. Pray. 1 Thessalonians says, pray without ceasing. I don't mean pray when you think of it. Just pray all the time. Thank you, Lord. Pray. This church is nothing unless we carry out the message of Jesus Christ. No church, not just yours, none. We're nothing unless we carry out the message of Jesus Christ. And in Proverbs chapter 3 and 6 it says, in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he'll direct our paths. So what I'd like to do, if this is appropriate, I wish our piano player would come and just play us a song lightly, if you will. And listen to this. You been hearing this thing? What's going on there?
It's full.
It changed. It's on a burner. It got hot. It changed. Now, when I did this, I planned for this to happen. I'm going to show you this. This is what happens when you get away from the heat. And this is how quickly it'll happen. Simple as that. When you get back on that burner, it takes a little bit of no time. Let's do it again. Is this your life? Are you living life on the boiling point? You want to change? You want to change your life? You want to change your church? Or you want to be like this? I'm going out that door. This is what's going to happen. Do you want to be like that? Do you want to be a church that changes? I encourage you, get involved in your community. This is a college town. Did you know I read the other day that there's a mass amount of college kids beginning to find their way back into churches. They want someone to care about them. That's all they want. That's what we're here for. We should be loving them. Go down to a ball game and have a tailgate party. Pull your shirt out of your pants and better go. Put on some tennis shoes and look like a college kid. Have a hamburger or a hot dog and say, hey, we're the First Christian Church. That's over on Georgia Street. Get involved in your community. Change. Go to church. Have a daily walk with Jesus and pray. You can change things. So stand with me. What I want you to do, what I'd like for you to do, is just bow your heads and ask yourself, am I living life at the boiling point? What do I need to change? How can I change? Do I have a daily walk with Jesus? Lost person? If you're here, you want to change your life? Call on the name of the Lord, you shall be saved, is what Romans says. Make a change in your life. Make your pot whistle. If you need a change in your life, I'll pray with you. Philip will pray with you. He's excited about what this church can do in its own community. You just have to do it.
Wow. Inspiring words again. One of the things that when I started preparing for these revivals that we have, I just start looking for who I'm going to get to preach and just stuff like that. This is the third year that I've done this, and of course y'all haven't heard my sermon tomorrow. It may flop, but all 3 years that this has happened, there's been a situation where the first year, of course, Pat James and Tom Graham spoke, and then they're well acquainted with each other and well acquainted with me. And last year we had 2 speakers that had never met. Again, this year we had 2 speakers that had never met until last night. But, you know, even back when Brother Pat and my father-in-law and myself spoke that first year, we still didn't get together and collaborate. But God has worked, because you can take a complete continuation of what Brother Bill talked about last night, and it just ran smoothly into tonight. Hopefully the whole weekend will run smoothly into tomorrow's, but that's how God works. You can take 3 people that don't communicate, you know, on a consistent basis, that don't communicate. I had no idea what Bill was going to talk about until yesterday afternoon. I had no idea what Brother Allen was going to talk about until he said it. I got his notes, 5 minutes before we started. But God works things in ways that we can't see. Boy, can we experience.
Right.
And, just from them last night, from Brother Bill and Brother Allen tonight, I'm fired up. I'm ready to go.
Amen.
I'm ready to work. I'm ready to boil. Like I said, tomorrow may cool everything down, but it may put a little more heat under the fire. We might go from 212, we might go up 215 tomorrow. 220. And you officially start to get where it starts evaporating. And then we really have trouble when they start evaporating. So we won't get to that point. But
Just add water.
we've got to get on fire. And I posted this. Y'all don't know this because I've never told anybody this, but I think I've told Cindy. I may have shared it with Cindy at the time, but we've been here for 2.5 years. Believe it or not. It seems like it was just yesterday. But since day one, since the day we walked through the doors, I've been praying that we would get a great movement from God in Beebe, Arkansas. Day one. I think and I believe with all my heart, because God has showed it to me, that we are on the doorstep of that movement. Now all we have to do is open the door. That's why I chose this topic for this weekend. We're this close, people, to not just changing First Christian Church, but changing Beebe, Arkansas. When you change the Beebe, Arkansas, you change White County, Arkansas. When you change White County, Arkansas, you change Arkansas. When you change Arkansas, you change the South. When you change the South, you change the U.S. When you change the U.S., you change the world. It starts right. It starts with us. We need to get on fire. We need to get boiling. We need to